Alright, all you high-scoring monsters out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And as a tip, speaking of monsters, I recommend you save as much AK-47 rounds as possible in the game of Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Just as a little tip in the future for any of you who plays that game, and avoid as many spiders as possible, if possible. Yeah, only 2 tips we have for you for the game for this week that we completely forgot to include. But besides tips on us trying to help you take on gargantuan spiders, folks, I think it's time for us to check out a couple of these monstrous high scores and indie games along the way for another edition of the Indy Wall of Fame. And the first game that we have up comes from the developers Dumo Games, nice developer name by the way, with their game Castle Woodwarf, or Woodwarf? Is that right, Maestro? Yeah, apparently Castle Woodwarf. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Dragon Heart, because you get a dragon to help protect your land, but also a little bit of All Hallows Eve with a little hint, because the house that they have that's instead of a castle is a house, yeah, automatically reminds me of David the Gnome. And here's hoping in the near future that one of these elfin-like characters has a medieval flail as a weapon to protect your gold or precious resources that you have to keep away from other creatures. Yeah, only thing I hope for. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Solo Man Games with their game Beat Diablo. And this game automatically reminds me of a little hint of, well, Diablo with a splash of, I guess, Pac-Man and Robotron in there as well. And here's hoping in the near future for this game is that besides jumping from space to space like you're playing Pac-Man, they give you some weapon to defend yourself just in case an enemy gets too close. And according to what the Maestro said, you can, and told me to flip to page 3, and he's holding a rock-like spear. Okay, I hope for a sword. Oh, page 4, he's holding a sword. Alright then, a medieval flail just like the game we mentioned before. What, page 5 has that too? Well, according to the Maestro, no. And besides a litany list of different weapons to play with in a makeshift 3D world, the next game that we have up comes from the developers NeONBRAND, hopefully we said that name right, with their game Alienautics. And this game automatically reminds me of the BAD, the Bureau of Alien Detectors. And if anybody don't remember that, it was a cool TV show they used to have back on, I think, CBS in the Saturday morning area. But I digress. Here's hoping in the near future for this game that they also give you some cool railgun and alien technology weapons you could use to take out these different sorts of aliens in the game. And maybe a chance to upgrade your suit too. And according to the Maestro, you can upgrade your suit, but not too entirely sure about the weapons. Right? And the next game that we have up comes from Hangon Games. Nice developer studio, by the way, with their game INFECTIS. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Outlast, but a little hint of Resident Evil in there as well, along the lines of Resident Evil Code Veronica, since he woke up in a prison filled with monsters. Yeah. And here's hoping in the near future for this game that they give you something more to defend yourself with than a flashlight. because I don't know what sort of Markland beast was grumbling in the background during the trailer, but I want to actually hit it with something to try to run away from it instead of just hiding inside of a box like I'm Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. Yeah, so something to defend myself with. Only thing I hope for. And the next game that we have up comes from the creators Deal Network, or Deli Network with 2 E's. Yeah, we'll go with that one, with their game, Gene Rain Wind Tower. And this game automatically reminds me a little bit of Defiance with a splash in there of Fallout as well. And here's hoping in the near future for this game that they have destructible environments like in Red Faction Armageddon, which this game also reminds me of a little bit as well, mostly because of the enemies that you have to fight. And the last but not least game that we have up for this week comes from the developers Nicholas Lives, nice name by the way, with their game Night Signal. And this game automatically reminds me of the Twilight Zone. Definitely reminds me of the Twilight Zone, and maybe that one episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog when they got that new television set, except that things comes out of this television instead of trying to hypnotize you. And here's hoping in the near future that to prevent things from coming outside of the television set past midnight, you can actually change the channel to a different channel that involves something more pleasant to prevent them from coming out of the TV. And Maestro said, where's the fun in that? And I answer back with, do you want something to come and lurch you out of a television set that looks like it shot the Dumont Network live? I thought so. And with that said, folks, we now head into the high scores for this week from the Twitter page of @highscore. And the first high score that we have up for this month comes from the gamer known as Zilch Senior with his high score of 100,070 in the classic Atari 2600 game of Demon Attack under Game 5. Not bad. Not a bad way to kick things off. And the next high score that we have up comes from Tim Landis USA with his high score of 15,330, a part of another classic Atari 2600 game of Moonsweeper. Now, for some strange reason, when I hear the name of that game, I'm thinking of a guy with a broom on the moon just sweeping up, I guess, dirt and asteroids? I'm wrong, right? Yeah, I know I'm wrong. Anyway, next game we have up, or high score, comes from Ed1475 with his high score of 27,420, a part of the ColecoVision game of Mousetrap Skill 4. Which looks an awful lot like Pac-Man, but with that screw-up we made on the ColecoVision, yeah, we're just gonna move on to the next high score from Ed1475 of 24,750, a part of the ColecoVision game of Q*bert under Skill 3. And the fact that he played Q*bert on the original console for this game, thumbs up, man, thumbs up. And the next high score that we have up comes from none other than Hyrion with his high score of 275,770 in the SNES game of Calamity or Camelatry. You know what, we'll go with the second one, and it seems like a King Arthur sort of game by the title, so yeah, Sir Galahad is somewhere in there. I don't know. Anyway, next high score that we have up to dig ourselves out of that hole comes from the Oriyama family. Got it on the second try, folks, with his high score of 60,670, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Draconian Quadrant Alpha Sector 1. Next high score we have up after that comes from, once again, the Oriyama family with his high score of 14,660, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Pepsi Invaders Coke Wins. Never heard of it. And oh, according to the maestro, we have our first monstrous high score for this month, which comes from Buttons with his high score of 9,083,900, a part of the classic Genesis Mega Drive game of Dragon's Fury. And that's a pretty cool high score title page to have there. Looks pretty cool. You know, with the dragon effect in the background, we like it. Anyway, besides high scoring screams, folks, the next high score that we have up, once again from the Oriyama family, of 217,910, a part of the Atari 7800 game of Pac-Man Collection, Random, Cherries Plus Off, Fast On. Did I do a Miyagi thing and didn't realize it with that whole thing, or no? Well, as we continue to keep getting silly around here, folks, next high score we have up comes from Zilch Sr. with his high score of 247,200, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Gorf. Which I don't know why, it sounds like a game that Goofy would invent. And with the way that it looks, yeah, I got a feeling Goofy had some hand in it. It's probably one of those extreme sports that he tried to do and went screaming down the mountain with his classic Wilhelm scream that he does. And Goofy aside, folks, next high score that we have up comes from none other than Jay Foreman with his high score of 1,310,080, a part of the PSX game of Wolfgang. And now the song Amadeus is playing in my head, so we're gonna move on to the next high score of none other than Darren9999 with his high score of 236,250, a part of the SNES game of Raiden Densetsu. Or Densetsu? Or Setsu? No, we'll go with the third one, and congratulations on your high score. And the last but not least high score that we have up for this week, folks, and my god, this may be the high score of the month, which comes from none other than BenGmanUk with his high score of 26,244,660, a part of the arcade game known as Hangon. And it's one of those motorbike arcade games from back in the day, and the fact that he was able to get a score this high in it, very, very impressive, and congratulations. And if you guys want to check out any other cool high scores that are still trying to make their way through the Twitterverse as we speak, you can head on over to the high scoring Twitter page of one man only known as @Highscore, or head on over to their website known as highscore.com to win cool prizes for your high scores. Which, like we say on all of these segments for the show, is a fair trade. And the high score for this month that I got a feeling that can't be beat comes from BenGmanUk with his high score of 26,244,660, a part of the arcade game of Hang On. And I got a feeling he's gonna hang on to that high score until the end of the month. And Maestro bet me $100, and I accept. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games trying to make their way through the Steam Machine via cargo plane, cargo ship, or makeshift subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes, you can head on over to the Steam.store power page, only known as store.steampower.com and just click ever so lightly on that indie button and then click even lighter on that upcoming page. Then check out a whole bunch of beautiful games that may or may not have been created in Dr. Frankenstein's lab for a monstrous good time. And Maestro was supposed to cue thunder sound effects, and now he did. Thank you for being late, Maestro. And with that little bit of sound effect delay out of the way, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the $64,000 question for this week as the Indie Radio Arcade rolls on right after a word from our sponsors. So don't skip out on that bonus round just yet, folks, and stay tuned.